Hi, my name is Johnny Collins, and this is my story about the amazing Billy Mays. I'd first like to give my condolences to his mother, his wife, his children, and to the Anthony Sullivan production crew. Billy was one of the most genuine people I've ever met, and he will be missed. I've been working on an invention for the last 5 years, but I had nowhere to turn. I didn't know who would market it. I didn't know how to market it. I didn't know who was going to pitch it until I started watching the Discovery Channel, and they came out with this program called The Pitchmans, which I'm sure you guys are aware of. So I started watching that, but I wasn't quite sure how to get onto the program or even how to find Billy Mays or Anthony. So I watched the program more, and then I was able to find out about the location of the Anthony Sullivan production company. So I decided one day that I was going to take a chance and fly from Arizona to where they're located at, and at least where I thought they were located at, and try to find Billy and Anthony. So I hopped on a flight Sunday the 14th June, and I landed in their location and got my hotel. I arrived about 10 o'clock, got into my room, and decided I was going to go to their production company. I took my rental car, I drove there, and I didn't see any signs saying it was their location. So I decided I better go home. It was getting late, and I figured I'd wake up and go there in the morning. So I went to my hotel and woke up about 6 o'clock and went to the location that I thought was their location, and parked across the street, in an open parking lot, and waited for about an hour, and I was told that they start anywhere from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. And I saw people going across the street into the building, but I didn't see Anthony or Billy. So I waited a little bit longer, and UPS drove by, and I was going to get out and ask them, but I was too nervous. So UPS went inside, and he came back out, and he got in the truck, and I figured, well, I better do it now. So I jumped out of the car, and I started running towards the UPS driver, and he drove off. My luck. So I ran back to the car, and I sat back in there for a little bit, and all of a sudden I heard this noise of a truck, and I looked, and it was UPS. He had gone around the block. So I jumped in my rental car, and I drove up to the UPS driver and asked him if he knew where the Anthony Sullivan production company was, and he said, it's over there. And I said, do you ever see Billy or Anthony? He said, well, I see Billy twice a week, and you'll know because he'll pull up in his Bentley underneath the eave of the little roundabout. So I thanked him, and I jumped back into the Mustang and parked back in the parking lot, and I hung out for about another 25-30 minutes, and a vehicle pulled into the roundabout, but it wasn't Billy. It was kind of an older car, and it looked like maybe it was a service company or something like that. So while I'm waiting, a car pulls directly in front of me, perpendicular to where I was parked at, so I could see the passenger side door, but the windows were all tinted, and I won't say what kind of car it was, but the windows were all tinted, and I could see this very distinct man with this distinct beard, and I thought, well, it must be him. But the gentleman stayed in the car for about 10 minutes talking on the cell phone, so I wasn't sure if it was him or not, and I kind of got all my stuff set up in the back of the trunk of the Mustang, and all of a sudden the guy gets out of the car, and it was Billy Mays. I was so nervous I didn't know what to say, but I said, hey Billy, my name is Johnny, and I got an invention I want to show you in the back of my trunk, which I'm sure probably scared him. But he actually came to me and he said, you know what, I got 10 minutes, and let me see what you got. So I popped the trunk, and I showed him my invention, and he said, you know what, I got a meeting, I'll be in there for about 2 hours, you sit tight, but I'm going to go talk to Anthony, and I'll come back out. And he asked me, do you have a cell phone? I said, yes I do. He goes, I'm going to call it right now. So he called myself, but I had it in the car, but he heard it. He said, don't worry, I hear it in there. So Billy went inside and I sat in the car, and I actually had to leave for a little bit. I had to go pick up some more stuff from the store for my invention, and I came back and I parked in the same spot, and I had everything prepared in the back of the rental car. So about 15 minutes later, this lady comes looking outside and decides, to come outside, and she's like walking towards me. And while she was doing that, I was actually checking my phone to see if Billy really did call my phone from maybe a blocked number or from, an unblocked number. And sure enough, it was an unblocked number. So the lady walked up to the door and asked if I was here to see Billy Mays, and I said, yes, I am. And she said, well, that's on the verge of stalking. We've got a lot of people scared upstairs. And I told her, hey, I apologize. I didn't come here to start any problems, and I'll leave right now. But I said, but Billy gave me his phone number. So I showed her the phone, and you could see like she was a little shocked. And she said, well, I'm in charge of Billy, and I'm in charge of who he sees. So she said, well, listen, let me have your license, and I'll go talk to Billy, and I'll come back out. So I gave her my license, and I was nervous and scared. And as she went inside, well, about 5 minutes later, I hear helicopters coming, and I thought they were maybe coming for me, so I was waiting for the police to come next. Well, that didn't happen, but she came back out, and her name was Mary, I believe, and she was the nicest person you could ever meet. And she said, hey, listen, I apologize, but I'm just doing my job, and we don't know who you are, and you could be a stalker, but Billy said he'd be out, after the meeting, so you just sit tight. So I sat tight, and then about 10 minutes later I saw Anthony walk outside the building, and I thought he was coming my way, so I didn't want to keep staring, but he never did, which I was kind of upset about that, but he had an emergency, I guess. Well, 10 minutes later, who comes out but the king himself, Billy, and he kept his promise, and he came out, and he said, let me see it now, and he came out with his secretary, and they had a camera, and they filmed me, and he said, let's see your invention again. So I showed him my invention in the back of the Mustang, and he listened. Billy listened for probably 25 minutes to half an hour, and just the opposite. I was trying to pitch to him, and I was thinking, boy, is this guy ever going to stop? But he was so interested, and he took that time out of his day to look at my invention. He didn't know me from anybody. So that was incredible. But Billy left, and his secretary stayed around for a little bit and asked me some questions, and she filmed me a little bit longer and asked me, like I said, again about my invention. And then Billy's wife actually came, before Billy left, and I got to meet his wife. And then they both drove off, and then the secretary left. So I just want to say that my half an hour with Billy was the most priceless time that I've ever spent with anyone. He was the most genuine, nicest person that anyone could ever meet, and he actually had faith in me. And he said, this is what I'm going to do for you. He said, I'm going to give you my picture, and I'm going to sign it, but on the back I'm going to give you my personal cell number, but do me a favor, don't pass it out to anyone. And Billy, I never did. So he told me to go get my NDA, my non-disclosure agreement, and to give him a call once I got that. So I left it back home, and I started working on my NDA with my patent attorney. And then today, I heard the news about Billy's death, and I was devastated. I can't express enough how genuine and how nice and how kind the guy was. And he actually couldn't believe that I had come 3,000 miles to see him, and he asked me why. I said, Billy, because of you, because you could pitch my product like no one else. And he asked me that twice, but he was amazed. He really was. And I just can't give enough thanks to him. But I'll show you a picture that Billy gave me with his number on the back, but I can't show you his number. But that was a picture. So, Billy, I thank you. I know you're in heaven.